Hi everybody, James Rodriguez here, and today I'm going to show you my setup for teaching online lessons as well as how I make my videos. Now, I'm a band teacher, and even though you're not a band teacher, I'm sure you'll get something out of these videos and some ideas. I'm going to show you my setup, the gear I use, how I get my audio, as well as the tools and apps I use. In a little bit, I'll grab the camera and I'll show you around the room and show you all the gear. Now, I do plan to get geeky and in detail for some of these items because I'm so excited, so I left timestamps down below so you can jump to a section that interests you. Everything is being ran through the ATEM Mini, and I'm using the ATEM Mini software control to do all the effects. Now, I know I can use OBS to create all these effects and everything, but I just prefer ATEM Mini because it's a hardware button I can push and transition between all these effects. I am using OBS to record this all right now, so what you're seeing is the OBS recording, so it's all routed into OBS. So what you're seeing right now is how the students see and hear me in their online lessons, including all the effects. I can share my desktop, an iPad, or my iPhone using this feature with me in the lower third. This is very handy because students don't like the Zoom screen share feature because it overrides their Chromebooks, and sometimes they'll be looking at a certain app like Smart Music and they're part of the music, and then I override them with mine. So I found that this to be very helpful for students to follow along and actually do follow along with me in a tutorial. I can also switch back to this normal camera view, and I can move around my camera. So this way I can show my embouchure or show any close fingerings if I need to. This setup also allows me to put a lower third where I can throw in a metronome. Sometimes I grab my instrument and I also do a play along track with them while I'm playing an instrument, and I use Logic Pro to do the backing tracks for me. Now, I do have a toddler who takes their afternoon naps in the next room over, so in that case sometimes I can't play my instrument live. In this case, I created a harmony director, which you can find instructions on how to do so here. This harmony director allows me to play my instruments through MIDI, and it allows me to play at a low volume here while the students still hear it at a nice good volume. I can also change patches to play different instruments. This also includes recording as well as playing backing tracks along with them. The microphone is just out of frame right above me, and this gives me a nice good setup so the students don't see the microphone. They can still hear me with great quality, as you can tell, and I can play my instrument without bumping into a microphone. Now, I also have a camera attached by HDMI so that way I can show them closer shots of a fingering or for like ligatures and building instruments, and I can switch to that using here. This is all done using the ATEM Mini as my camera switcher for moving around. So I have the Apple TV hooked up to it, as well as my camera 1, which is the one you're seeing me here, and this camera here. Now, the reason for today's video is to spark a conversation about setups. I find it a super interesting topic. I love seeing the behind the scenes and the setup and the gear people use, the tools they're using, and also the logic of why they're doing it and how it all flows together. So I guess I'll grab my phone and my camera and I'll kind of quickly show you around the room and how my studio is set up, as well as the audio and everything involved. So I'll grab my phone and do that right now. Okay, I guess I'll start with the heart and soul of this whole operation, which is the Sony a7 III. This camera has a Carl Zeiss f4 24-70 lens on it, which I find perfectly suitable for this. It allows me to zoom in and zoom out for all the different scenes I do. I have it connected with an HDMI cable going outboard to an ATEM Mini, which I'll show you in a bit. And then it's currently being charged just using a USB cable. I know some people have the dummy batteries, but I found that if you change the heating settings in it, it tends to work pretty good. If you do get worried about overheating, you can flip out the screen on those hot days and open up the latches on it, and that kind of lets it cool off a little bit. One big thing to note is that if you do set it to 4K, it's limited to 24 to 30 frames per second. So I run everything as 1080p and 60 frames a second. So I did change the settings in this in video mode to go 60 frames and then go output into the ATEM Mini at 60 frames. This creates less stagger and less jittery in the footage. So I guess I'll switch my camera to this one so that way you can see the rest of the room. So what you're seeing right now is the Sony a7 III, so hopefully you get better video and audio. Just to quickly go over, I have 3 lights. One's in the corner, one's right here, and they act as my main and key lights, and then I have here one in the back for like a hair light / ambient light. The second bread and butter, or the heart and soul of this operation, is the ATEM Mini, which everything is hooked up into. I have the sound and the cameras into there as well. So I have here camera 1, which is going to be this Sony a7 III you're looking at right now. That is camera 1. Camera 2 is the second HDMI port, which is the Sony RX100 Mark II. This is an old camera I got like 5 years ago. And then for the 4th channel, I'm actually using an Apple TV over here. The Apple TV is used to use AirPlay, so I can share my iPad very quickly, or I can share my desktop. I guess I do it as an extended desktop, so the kids don't see this. They see like a second monitor, which I don't actually have hooked up. It just works out really well, for me at least. And that's done through the Apple TV hooked into that 4th channel. The ATEM Mini is a fantastic piece of hardware. I haven't even touched the limits of it yet, so it's something I highly suggest, recommend, and it's actually very affordable. There is one feature that's it doesn't have. This one's not the Pro version. This is just the regular ATEM Mini, and that is to actually do recording. So that's why I have it hooked up into OBS, so I can do all the recording. I did find that if I use QuickTime on it, it tends to crash with the recording. So I'm not sure if anybody else is experiencing that, but if you found a work or a loophole on how to fix that, let me know in the comments. I do have the audio routed into here using a line level cable connected, and that's coming from my Scarlett 18i20. I have my microphone hooked up to it through XLR, as well as my Dr. Beat metronome hooked into it by a 1/4" instrument cable. The microphone I'm using is a Samson C02 microphone. These are awesome. They're like I think $110, $120, and you get a pair of them, which is really cool. I have the second one sitting over there actually. And this microphone, it just creates a good bubble, I guess, of sound for my lessons. And it's really handy because I don't have the microphone in the way. It's not shown in the videos. My voice sounds pretty decent, as you guys seen earlier. And when I play instruments, including trombone, there's no microphone in the way. I have tried experimenting with different microphones, like a USB microphone or a lavalier. I find that the USB microphones, and this goes for all microphones, you do need to be up close to the source of the sound, which makes it very difficult because you have to be right up on it. It's also in the middle of your face, and it's very difficult if kids are trying to look at your embouchure. This microphone gets the job done much better, and I have tried a lavalier microphone, but those tend to have a cable that runs around, and it's kind of annoying if I'm trying to juggle between the different instruments. In terms of the stands I use this onstage boom microphone stand, which I had forever. I've also have this Manfrotto tripod stand, which I use for the camera. I don't recommend the Amazon Basics ones. They tend to be cheap and fall down, so don't use those. I have a Joby Gorilla tripod, which works really well. And I also have a onstage desk stand, which works really well. I use this for guitar if I'm using a Samson C02, so I can do like a stereo recording, but it also works great for other instruments like clarinet, flute, and actually all the woodwinds, so it works really great. I do also have an SM58, but I don't use it that much anymore, only if I'm doing kind of a voiceover or something. So once again, this is hooked up into the XLR into the Scarlett 18i20. I do have also a Dr. Beat metronome, which is here, so that's hooked up into 1/4" on there, and that's all routed into the ATEM Mini. For all the sound effects, I am running Logic Pro, and that's using the my Harmony Director, which is a Axiom 49. So I use the Axiom 49 plugged into Logic, which then runs into the Scarlett, which then goes into the Blackmagic, and then through Zoom. Seems a lot of routing and confusing, but it works out great. All the sound is outputted into these two Bose companion speakers, which I use. I don't use headphones for monitoring audio. I do if I'm doing editing, which I'll probably do for this video, but the headphones I use are Audio-Technica MTH M50s. But for doing Zoom lessons, I don't, because I found that wearing headphones causes my ears to kind of get fatigued a lot, so I decided to just stick to these right here. And if I have them at a low volume, they don't go and bleed into the microphone. So the computer I'm using to run all this programs and softwares is the M1 Mac Mini. I think it's the probably best bang for your buck Mac you can get, which is amazing. I also get an educator discount on it, so I'm loving it so far, and that's what's been running the entire thing. That's hooked up into this monitor. This is the cheapest 4K monitor you can get on Amazon. It's a Scepter 4K. It's probably available, maybe not, I'm not sure, but it was like $200 when I got it, which is awesome. All right, so working towards around here are the instruments I'm using. I have a flute, trumpet, clarinet in the back here. I have my trombone on a stand, as well as a tenor saxophone that I'm using. For the piano, that is a Costco brand actually. It's a Casio Privia, and it's a full 88 key. It gets the job done, and if I do need to record with more than 49 keys, I do use this. It's USB output for MIDI, which works great. Half the time, I'm just playing it for myself and for my daughter. Up here I do have a couple guitars, so I have my Gretsch guitar, which is lovely, works great, and I also have an acoustic electric hybrid. This is like a cheap Sunlight brand, but it works really well actually, and it sounds really good too, so I just keep it because it works great. Regular poster and bookshelf. All my extra instruments and percussion stuff are in here, but it's kind of a mess, so I have extra guitars, tons of guitars in here, as well as percussion accessories if I need to grab it out. So this is pretty much it. This is what the setup looks like, and this is what I teach at. So once again, this is what the students see. The microphone is just out of frame, right there, about a hand's width away. If I put the camera up, you can kind of see it there. I don't do any processing to the audio, so what you hear is exactly what the students get. The microphone is also a perfect distance away, so that way I can play a trombone. And you know, kids always knock down things with a trombone, so I personally don't hit my camera or anything, or a microphone, which is the worst. I don't get that bump sound for the kids, so it's all perfectly a good position for a trombone. And it makes it really fun to teach in here. I have all the different instruments, I have all the different sounds, I get to play some sound effects. And if I wanted to, I can quickly throw in a meme for the kids and they get to see this. And I always throw a meme of the day and kind of throw that in for the students. So it's really fun. And this is what makes it more enjoyable for me to teach at home. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can, please like it, subscribe if you haven't, so you can see more content like this that I'm producing. And once again, if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments section, or just let me know and send me a quick message. All right guys, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this video.